to be a rock right where he wants to put the first thing. Oh, that just hit my toes.
Take the ends off because then I gotta go back on.
Normally it's not quite this much work.
Normally it's not quite this dry and hard. You just push them into the ground.
I missed it. The Glenn had to run the rototiller down there. We're hoping that does the trick to so you can put the cabbage tunnel ends in. It was so hard, the ground was so hard from being dry that we couldn't get it in there. We don't like rototilling these beds, but that hopefully has done the trick. Yeah. Who's here?
That was awesome.
What's up?
Trying to settle the roots in the dirt. Roots are very compact there. I'm gonna put a weed hose on there. It's just gonna live in a whole summer.
We install a soaker hose into the cabbage tunnel. If it rained, I mean, it would be fine. Moisture would get in there. It's a pretty tough tunnel. Now grow, little cabbages, grow. That's my big helper. She's gonna be my garden helper this year. The little herb transplants are coming along. Homegrown herbs take a long time to come. The curry's looking a little better since it got put into the garden. Had some great advice on how to take care of that. Looks like I gotta do a little bit of weeding. And deadhead some marigolds. The herb garden is really coming along. I'm impressed. Glenn's put a light dusting of grass clippings on our freshly seeded beds, just to diffuse some of this hot summer light. It's not even technically summer yet. Things are starting to pop up from one of my last plantings a couple of weeks ago. Why is nature so cool? I just thought this was a piece of wood sticking up on there. It just blends in so well. You'll see in our row of garlic here, there's quite a bit of empty spaces in there. And companion planting for garlic includes peppers and tomatoes. So we're going to fill in some empty spots in the garlic row with peppers and tomatoes. And in the bottom of the hole for the peppers, I am throwing just a little handful of bone meal in there. It's got a high middle number, which is what you want to get the roots growing. And then in the big open spaces, we will just put one tomato down the center, about a foot to a foot and a half apart here. Nervous and scared to get my tomatoes out because It is June 3rd here today, but the chance of frost still happens, but not in the foreseeable forecast. So I'm gonna go with that and just do what we can.
Tomatoes. Stay focused, friend.
These are our Manitoba tomatoes and some of the beefsteaks. Man, they just keep looking terrible. They need to go in the ground. Let's hope that helps. We're also putting some of the bone meal on the bottom, and then I have a tomato pellet fertilizer that I'm going to sprinkle on top the ground. It is 5-10-5, so with calcium in it. So we'll see how that goes. I used it last year and no complaints. Over yonder checking out the potato patch. We've got a pretty good catch on our potatoes. And Brenda, sister-in-law, planted hers 2 weeks after we planted ours. Hers are popping up right along. It's on a stick. Oh, it fell down. It's in the dirt.
Manitoba, Tom.
Okay. How are their roots?
Roots are good. The root ball is dry though. They really need a drink right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to really dry out quickly, those ones. What's that one?
Beefsteak?
Beefsteak. Yay! Oh yeah, look at that root ball. Oh, it's just falling apart. It's so dry. Shoot.
Yeah, there's lots of roots at the bottom, though. Top there isn't.
I promise I do water those things. It's 9:30 at night on Saturday. We just finished talking to our son who lives in Japan. It's his Sunday morning. And I came out to move the weeping hose on the onions again. I set my alarm for another hour and a half, so 9:30 plus an hour and a half. So 11 o'clock I'm coming out here to shut the water off for tonight. Tomorrow is supposed to be 30 degrees Celsius here, so I'm gonna get up early and water stuff. I'm gonna move the weeping hoses from this bed here over to this bed here and let them run. And then I'm gonna water the new lettuce transplants that have come out and the new tomatoes and the pepper transplants that were out. Give that carrots a shot of water. Oh my gosh, just water. Like, can I just say water? We're gonna water everything. Beautiful smoky sunset tonight. We had a clear day. We were able to see the Rocky Mountains. And then sometime this afternoon, when I was inside, so maybe 4 o'clock, the smoke rolled in. And this is what we see. So, yeah. It does make beautiful sunsets. The one thing about the weeping hose is that it is very specific. So this middle weeping hose is on now. And you can see the other two lines where they ran. So if they're not right up next to the plant that you want to water, there isn't a lot of overlap there. So you got to be careful with that. The garden looks like, well, it is coming along, but then the straw we tried to mulch the carrots with is making the garden look like a hot mess. Oh my gosh. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. Glenn transplanted out more than half of the tomatoes today. So the next tomatoes are gonna go along this fence here. And tomorrow's gonna be too hot. So we're gonna wait a day or two and he's gonna put a tomato along that fence every foot. I decided to bring my pak choi and mustard just inside because you can see the damage that happened to the leaves when they were outside. So this is just sitting on a west-facing window table at my house inside with an avocado plant. Pretty cool. This is ginger. I started this ginger in February just from store-bought ginger. It takes a long time to grow and it likes it hot. So this year I'm putting my ginger out in the greenhouse, and guess what we'll be able to have for $50 February. Glenn amended the greenhouse dirt with worm castings and some cattle manure compost. And in the hole, we're putting just a little bit of bone meal, just like we did out in the big garden. These are Cherokee purples that he put in here, and he buried them nice and deep. Oh, fantastic roots. Perfect. Not over-rooted or just right. Be interesting what's happening with these bigger ones. I've never had my ginger look this good before. Awesome. Store-bought ginger. Nice. Glenn just finished planting the greenhouse along this wall. These are Cherokee purples. And then along the back wall, there's some indeterminate tomatoes, and this is a cayenne pepper. We got some chocolate cherry tomatoes, and I put a couple of varieties of things that I wanted to just make sure that I got them. I have an old German in here, and they have beautiful tomatoes. And then along the front of the bed, we've got jalapeno peppers. I put them on the north box because they get the most sun there. And then, for the first time, planting ginger in the greenhouse, so we'll see how that goes. Ginger's a tropical plant, so it should just love it in here. I'm gonna put up a little fence around it so it doesn't get whipped around too much by the wind.
Got a batch of worm tea I brewed up yesterday, bubbling away. I'm gonna mix it up. I think I'm gonna spray it about 50% and try some on the garden and just see what things look like after a few weeks. This is a choke cherry, and 2 days ago I seen this great big thing of tent caterpillars on my choke cherry tree. I was spraying worm tea for the first time around the yard, just on all of my bushes and stuff. And this particular web, net, whatever you call it, was absolutely completely covered with tent caterpillars when I sprayed it. And this morning, when I came out and checked on everything, I noticed a reduction in tent caterpillars by about 80%. Now, I thought, well, maybe some of them crawled away, or maybe something got them, or I don't know what, but I see a whole bunch of these little bugs. You see, kind of look like a stink bug there, the red one. Whatever those guys are, they're eating the tent caterpillars. So, I noticed that my choke cherries, there's so many different kind of bugs crawling on all the leaves now. Good ones, bad ones, and otherwise, that I would have just killed if I'd have sprayed it with some kind of chemical. So I don't know, we'll see how it works, but Anyways, whatever those red things are, they're eating the tent caterpillars, and there's quite a few of them around. And you'll notice I still have some here. I've just left this so I could keep an eye on it. But like I say, it was completely covered with tent caterpillars. You couldn't hardly see the web 2 days ago. And now there's, oh, maybe a dozen or so left. There was hundreds on there. And I do see a few crawling around on the odd leaf, but I think that a lot of them are gone for whatever reason. And those little bugs there, whatever they are, they're helping out. It's pretty cool. I caught a couple of these predatory stink bugs and just have a look at them and to try and identify them. I'm going to put him back on the choke cherry here. He doesn't run off the paper. But yeah, they're eating those tent caterpillars for sure. Here's a really good look at one. He's got a little sticker in his nose, and he had it stuck right in that tent caterpillar. I don't know if they lay eggs with it or what, but it was like a spike that he had stuck right in that tent caterpillar. You could see just at the beginning of the video there when he pulled away, he had the spike stuck in there, and then he pulled it out. So I don't know.
In a couple of my big barrels, I planted some sweet potato slips that I got. These will actually produce sweet potatoes in Alberta. They're grown specifically for our climate, so they're a short season potato. Here's another barrel with some slips in it. I like to put weird pieces of wood that I find in my garden. Anybody else like that?